Hi again everyone, this is Kyle with K-Debate. I just made 2 previous videos and I'm working on a 3rd one right now. This time I have my fan on because it is extremely hot and I keep sweating and I don't want to get all weird out on the video. Okay, my first video was talking about stuff. My second video was talking about arguments and the validity of whatever. This one's going to be about what an actual valid argument is and how the interpretation changes it. So, if I give a generic example, just bear in mind if you disagree or don't disagree. That's not the point of what I'm trying to do. I'm going to give an unbiased, reasonable argument. Then I will explain the component parts. I don't have notes. I should have made notes, but I didn't. So if I forget something, I apologize. Okay. I will make an argument on health food. This is arbitrary. I just thought of it right now. Alright. 100% juice. It has a lot of vitamin C and 28 grams of sugar. 28 grams of sugar per 8 fluid ounces. That's more than soda. And that is a lot. So I'm going to argue that the consumption of sugar does not reflect an unhealthy dietary consumable. Sugar, like anything else, is necessary in a certain amount, and that there are different kinds of sugar. So, going off of this also, how important is vitamin C? Well, if you don't have it, you get scurvy and die. But how much do you need? Not much. Not very much at all. So, this having vitamin C isn't as important as the amount of sugar or the amount of sodium or potassium or calories or carbohydrates. And apparently that's the only things in here. There's no other vitamins. It says, look, no sugar added. Which means it's all natural in the apples themselves. If you were to go to, this is what, concentrate? Apple fruit from concentrate, yeah. The vitamin C is added. So the vitamin C doesn't really matter because everything has it, so that's really not a selling point. Not adding sugar also is not a selling point because it still has a ton of sugar in it, right? How about I say this? Unnatural processed sugar is probably not as healthy as natural occurring sugars, but I don't know. I would have to quote scientific nutritionist stuff that I'm not familiar with. And because most people are not nutritionists, they would have to go off of someone else's opinion or scientific analysis, such as surveys or studies or whatever, on the absorption of different types of sugars and the effects of those sugars on the body for the validity of the amount of sugar being natural or unnatural to be a factor in how healthy this is. It says 100% juice. It is a selling point of this to be healthy. Otherwise, people wouldn't care. It's just apple-flavored drink at that point. It's not, I mean, why do you get cookies? You eat cookies because they taste good, not because they're healthy. So your consumption of something is, 1, it tastes good, 2, healthy. I'm not putting those in any particular value order, but what other reasons are there? Nutrition and, pleasure, pretty much. So, what gives the value of health food? What gives it the important factor? I mean, if you're going to eat a whole bunch of eggs and you die of cholesterol poisoning, you probably shouldn't have done that. But, people eat eggs all the time. They don't care sometimes, especially young people. And I'm just trying to figure out, and I'm using a reason. I'm trying to be as reasonable as possible. If this were to be high fructose corn syrup Um, Same amount of sugar, same amount of carbs, same reinforcement of vitamin C and everything, but it's not natural. It's not a health drink. But the only real difference is it might have more calories, and the place it gets the sugar is different. Now, there's a lot of studies on high fructose corn syrup, and people say it's not healthy. Some people say it is healthy. I don't know. I've heard a lot of different things on this. Generally, the consensus is high fructose corn syrup, because it is unnatural and because your body cannot absorb it properly, it is unhealthy. But, I mean, if you drink this whole thing, it's not going to be healthy. So, moderation makes something good or bad, right? Okay, I'll make a few points. One, my argument on health food being good is it is naturally easier for our body to digest certain things. It is naturally more absorbed because it's what we are used to internally. Digestive absorption. I'm being so repetitive in this. I really should have made notes. Here, I don't have any other food over here, do I? It's in the living room, so I didn't expect to see, but I thought I'd be able to see something. Okay, let's go off of healthy versus unhealthy. Obviously, somebody would argue that extremely healthy diets are actually damaging to the body and therefore unhealthy. Like only eating fruits and vegetables, lean meats, soy milk, all these things, if you miss one vitamin because of your diet, it's not healthy. Because otherwise, you probably eat it in something by just not being careful. A nutritionist will say eat balanced, eat moderation, eat what you need, blah, blah, blah. I don't need this. I don't need apple juice. I don't need applesauce. I don't need apples. And yet, I have all three of them in this apartment. I just finished this yesterday. There's a bag of apples in the kitchen, and 3 or 4 things of applesauce. Because it's easy, it's cheap, and it's healthy. I don't like the apples. They're very, very, very hard. I like the creamier apples, the ones that melt. But again, that's pleasure as opposed to health. I don't know which ones have more nutrients in them. All I know is Big Red is really bad, comparatively. So, what's healthy? Did you know that applesauce has protein in it, but apples do not? Think about that for a little while. And is that unhealthy? Where does it come from? Worms. Is that unhealthy? Maybe. Probably not. What is healthy? Let's define healthy. You have to in this kind of discussion. You have to define what is healthy and unhealthy for people to be on the same page when regarding what comprises healthy in that category. So I'm going to say having 28 grams of sugar in 1 cup, you probably shouldn't drink more than 2 cups of this a day. And I would also say you should probably drink 1 cup of water for each cup of apple juice you drink, because it dehydrates you, because sugar not necessarily dehydrates you, but can. So there are a high and a low limit of what you should consume. And within that range is healthy. Above that is excess, below that is deficiency. And I will arbitrarily say 1 cup of this is healthy. Like half a cup of wine or whatever. People can argue that's healthy. It's arbitrary though, because each individual person is different. You can't go off of a standardized rule like this, which is actually percent daily values are based on a 2,000 calorie diet. I don't consume 2,000 calories a day. Sometimes I consume none, sometimes I consume 5,000, whatever. It's different for me. It's different for a lot of people. An athlete requires 20 times that amount. Or their diet is unhealthy. And there's all different kinds of aspects of health, and each one is subjective to the individual biology of the person. because healthy means beneficial to the point of being foreseeably good for you. And that's the connotative. I don't know what the denotative. Let me look it up. Healthy. One moment, please, while I look this up. Healthy.com. No, I want the Wikipedia. Here we go. Wikipedia. Health. No, not health. I wanted healthy. Ah, well. Health is the level of function or metabolic efficiency of a living being. In humans, it is the general condition of a person's mind or body, and body, usually meaning to be free from illness, injury, or pain, as in good health or healthy. The World Health Organization, WHO, defined health in the broader sense in 1946. In its broader sense in 1946 as a state of complete physical, mental, and social well-being, and not merely the absence of disease or infirmity. Although this definition has been subject to controversy, in particular as lacking operational value and because of the problem created by using the word complete, it remains the most enduring. Other definitions have been proposed, among which a recent definition that correlates health and personal satisfaction. Classification systems such as the WHO family of international classifications include the International Classification of Functioning, Disability, and Health, the ICF, and the International Classification of Diseases are commonly used to define and measure the components of health. Now, if you go off of that Wikipedia article, which may or may not be valid, but sounds valid, so I'm going to go with it, it's based off of, and I will quote, a state of complete physical, mental, and social well-being, and not merely the absence of disease or infirmity. I think that's more accurate, because you can be healthy and sick. It's just not as healthy as you could be. I mean, where's the line? It's arbitrary. When I'm in the med center, they ask us a really silly question. When we take a medicine, we have to say how we feel. And that's good. But the standard response that we must say, or open an AE, which is an adverse effect, which they jot down and send it to the sponsors of the drug, is fine. That is what the baseline of how you should feel. And every time they've asked me that, maybe a few times I didn't when I was sleepy, but I would respond, I'm going to say fine, but I really feel normal. I feel as if the drug is not having an effect on me. And because fine implies connotatively that you are on a baseline that is content in a slightly positive way. And maybe that's not my baseline. Maybe my baseline's way up here, ecstatically awesome, and it's just making me I feel okay. I mean, I'm not as happy as I could be, but I mean, still within normal boundaries, I guess, for a normal person. So fine, I guess. Or what if you feel normally, like, I've had cancer for 10 years and now I feel fine. It's like, that's not normal though. The drug could have cured your cancer. It's not, I mean, if you don't fit that normally, then it's not clear. It's not right in definition. So when it says healthy as the well-being, just complete well-being, I like that because health has the connotative description of being positive, not just the lack of negatives. And using that, we can get the general idea of what promotes that. What is healthy in that it promotes that definition of health. That's how we can argue with the same value system. Now, the end result of this argument. I can say this is healthy even though it has high fructose corn syrup because of this, because of this, because of this, because of this. And the main arguments I make are the benefits outweigh the negatives. And one person says, well, there's something better. So this should be considered an alternative to what would be better, and therefore not the best, and therefore not healthy. And if somebody's messaging me on Skype. Hold on, that's actually my wife. I should respond to that. Cool. She said somebody sent us a message. Oh, okay. I'll check later. Making a video. Okay. So, while one person would define healthy as anything that has a beneficial effect on the body, another person can argue that if it doesn't have enough benefits to outweigh, I don't even know, not negatives, but lack of extreme positives, you can say, well, it's not healthy enough, so therefore I'm not going to call it a health food. I wouldn't call this a health food. I would call it a somewhat healthy alternative to other drinks. That's my value system. Other people will say, well, yeah, it's healthy. It's fruit juice. What's healthier than fruit juice? And that's where the value systems differ. We can have the exact same arguments. We can agree on what health is, what healthy is, what all of these things are, and disagree on the one aspect of, well, how healthy is it? Where's the line? Why are you putting it there when I put it here? And that is how people disagree. Reasonable arguments, logical assumptions, factual adherences, and yet we disagree. Does it make our reasoning wrong? Does it make our logic wrong? No, not always. It could simply be that I value something differently than you. And generally that's the case. I mean, a lot of times people will say it very argumentatively, but that doesn't mean that the arguments themselves are invalid. Some people just don't know how to do it tactfully. I don't want this video to get super long. It's already almost 20 minutes. But I hope this made sense. Anyway, I was trying to pick it up and knocked it over. Anyway, I guess that's it. Peace.